Now's the time to be part of the team at Team Toyota. Step up to the plate with a winning lineup of new Toyota models like the new 4Runner, Grand Highlander, and the all-new 2026 RAV4. Or find something perfect for your game plan and your budget with over 300 certified used Toyotas available. And don't sweat a trip to the IL. Our service and collision centers will have you back in the game in no time. So slide into one of our 3 locations, Princeton, Langhorne, or Glen Mills, or take a swing online at teamtoyota.net.
This is Phillies Talk, presented by Team Toyota. I am McKercher, digital video producer here at NBC Sports Philadelphia. Glad to be joined by my co-host, Sean Kane, the producer of Phillies Pre- and Post-Game Live. Kaner,
Spence.
good to see you, buddy. Happy Monday.
Good to see you. Happy Monday to you.
We're good, man. Everything's good here. If you're watching on YouTube, I'll flip my camera. This is the current scene at Baycare Ballpark. A little rainy day day here in Clearwater.
Tarp down. Yep.
Tarp down, God, efficient by those guys, man. They know what they're doing, getting that tarp down. Even the first hint of rain, they were out there running and got it down, and the birds are having a good time out there. So
nice, very
good.
It's
good to see you, man. Let's start off topic per usual. Obviously, nothing too crazy going on, but how was your time at the Big East tournament?
It was great. Good times in New York City late last week. Got back on Friday morning. Everything was great as usual up there, other than, the Villanova game late on Thursday night. But again, you can only control so much, Spence. But it was a good time. Always is up there. Good to be back and talking Phillies baseball. How's Clearwater been treating you?
It's good, man. Per usual. Treat me well. It was great to have Cole Weintraub down here with me for the majority of the time. He went back Friday, and then obviously, if you missed it listening, we had our Phillies live Q&A on Sunday. Yep. Great turnout. A lot of fans. They were saying the people that work here at Baycare Ballpark, it was the biggest crowd of the spring so far.
Wow, that's awesome. Very cool, man.
Which is very cool.
It looked great. The Q&A looked great.
People showed out. And we were saying it might have been the record-breaking questions for us. There was that many questions. There was constantly. I was doing the questions, and literally after every single person, there'd be 8 people raising their hands. I'm like, whoever, just trying to pick. So it was good, man. A lot of fun. If you missed that, it is on our YouTube channel, so go check it out. About 43 minutes long. Jim Salisbury, Ben Davis, and Tom McCarthy. A lot of chatter about Ben Davis's leg, which we had to put. He was like, he sat down. They're kind of like high chairs. Right. And he sat down, and his knee, he just had his leg out. And I'm like, do you want a chair? Do you want anything to prop that? He's like, that'd be great. So he had it propped up. A lot of people worried about him. A lot of fans worried about him, but he's feeling better. He's feeling better.
Getting around all right? He's getting around all right down there?
He is. He's getting around. He's having a good time. I mean, hey, between you and me and now the listeners, the guy played some golf today. So
so he's all right. He's fine.
I think he's feeling a lot better after the chainsaw incident a few weeks ago.
Thank goodness.
But yeah, man, good time down here as always. Had some coworkers, Tommy Feiner, Brooke Destra down with me yesterday as well. Always a good time. Got the Frenchies, always fun. And went out to Coco's. So feeling it a little bit today, but I think it's just the end of the week, man. I've been here for a week now, and heading home tomorrow after the St. Patrick's Day game on Tuesday, which is always a good time down here at Baycare Ballpark as well.
Definitely.
Real quick, a lot to talk about. But for the first time, we have our good buddy, Jim Salisbury, joining us. I sat down with him about an hour ago, so that we'll splice that in about halfway through. A lot of good stuff from Jim there, so we will we'll throw that or throw to him here shortly. But I guess really the main thing, Taijuan Walker, we'll start there on Sunday. Pitches pretty well against the Braves. A scoreless game. He didn't allow a run. The Braves scored actually the only run of the game in the 9th inning with a home run. But really impressed with Taijuan Walker's first start since returning from the World Baseball Classic.
Yeah, no doubt. He's pitched well every time he's taken the ball this spring for the Phillies and really for Team Mexico as well. So encouraging there. They're going to need him certainly to start the season, and we'll see how long they're going to need him in the rotation. But, as we saw last year, even in a perfect world where Zack Wheeler is ready to go in mid to late April and maybe Taijuan makes a couple starts early, at some point they're going to need him in the rotation again. Like, you just can't count on all 5 guys making 32 starts. And we saw it last year with Taijuan bouncing back and forth and for the most part doing a pretty solid job and in a pretty difficult role when they ask you to, they stretch you out to be a starter, then they send you to the bullpen to be either be the long man, or in Taijuan's case last year, he was asked to pitch him some innings later in the games as well. So, he spoke about how difficult that was, but he was a team guy. And Rob Thompson pointed that out a number of times last year, how proud he was of Taijuan for doing whatever the club asked him to do. So he'll probably wind up in that role again this year. But yeah, if the spring is any foreshadowing of things to come, he's looking good. He's up for the task, and hard to believe this will be his the last year of that 4-year contract he signed before the 23 season.
It is crazy, and the fact that he even remained on this team and is going to play an integral part in the starting rotation going forward until Zack Wheeler's ready to go. And we'll get to Zack in a second. Obviously, his first live bullpen session of the season the other day. We'll get into that. But yeah, Ty yesterday, 5 innings, 3 hits, no runs, 2 walks, 3 Ks. Rolling, and against a Braves lineup that had a lot of their key guys in here. So really good to see from Taijuan Walker. And I know we debated about it a few times back and forth, but what's his role going to be once Zack Wheeler does return? I mean, obviously, I think he goes to the bullpen, gets slotted in there, and it's kind of like your long guy. We've seen him even last year throw in the later innings of this or of a game too. So interested to see what Taijuan Walker role is what it's going to be when Zack Wheeler returns.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, and I think that's what, as we just mentioned, I think eventually he will go to that bullpen when Zack is back, and hopefully that is sooner rather than later. Hopefully that's mid to late April, and he'll be the long man. And if they need him to throw a little higher leverage innings, he proved last year he's capable of that as well. But like I said, I think he'll. If I had to guess, you're going to see Taijuan back in that rotation, whether that's, knock on wood, hopefully not due to an injury somewhere else, or the fact that, they want to ease back on somebody, skip somebody's turn. There's going to be double headers. So Taijuan will be needed to make some starts throughout the season. He's obviously got experience doing that. And frankly, I know, a lot of people have been disappointed with Taijuan throughout the course of this contract, but just this year alone, they're lucky to have a guy like that. They're lucky to have a veteran guy with that experience, kind of be their quote unquote 6th man in that rotation. So I think, as you said, he's going to play a big role, an important role for them. And it's good to see him competing well in spring.
It is. And hopefully he kind of continues that into 2026. Like you said, year 4 already of Taijuan Walker going into that final year of his contract. And I think we know what to expect from Ty, but if he can just produce the way that the Phillies need him to produce when he takes the rubber, I think all signs point to good things. We'll transition to Zack now. Yeah. Looked really good. My days are all, as you know, being down here. That was Thursday?
His live BP session was more recently than that, no?
Maybe was it Saturday? I don't know. My days all get all bundled. Whenever it was this past week. And I'll tell you what, and Jim hints on it a lot, and I know we hinted on it as well. But just how high spirited he is. It's something that normally he's that ultra focused, locked in guy, but he's having fun even afterwards. He's messing with Marchand and Stubbs in the clubhouse just about because that's who he ended up faced Otto Kemp, Rafael Marchand, and Garrett Stubbs. But just him being happy, seeing just kind of being that happy-go-lucky guy that we don't really see from Zack. I think that that points the signs in the right direction. He looked really good through 22 pitches, hit 93. Didn't know really what he was kind of steady at. But 93 is still, coming off of surgery just a few months ago and being back on the mound and hitting 93 like that. It's a good sign for me. And he got a lot of swings and misses. Really, the only hit was an Otto Kemp little blooper. There's obviously no defense out there. Yeah. Could have been caught by the third baseman or the shortstop. But really, that was it. Rafael Marchand hit a grounder to second. That would have been a routine play for Bryson Stott or any other second baseman. And really, there was a pop-up. Otto sent one to center field. Marchand also sent one to right field. But a lot of swings and misses, and I thought it was a really positive sign.
Yeah, you just said it, and I know Jim Salisbury wrote about it. Like, you're trying to decipher how things are going with his recovery and how does he look in his bullpens and how did the live batting practice session go. But But what Jim mentioned, and you just said it too, is, his demeanor, and you can just tell he's smiling. He doesn't seem concerned by anything. Everything is all positive reviews. And, if there was something bothering him, if he felt a little tweak here, obviously you're not going to see that carefree, easygoing nature. So that's kind of the biggest tell to me that things are going well, and all systems are kind of pointing to him, hopefully not missing more than a couple of weeks of the regular season. And maybe he's ready to go sometime in that mid to late April. I think that's the hope now. I think that he can come back at some point next month and join this rotation and obviously provide a huge boost. But yeah, and the velocity is good too. 93, first live batting practice. He talked afterwards about, want to try to tick it up the next time he throws and tick it up again after that, which is what he does every spring anyhow. It's not like he's really any different, the velocity. No, it's great. It's really good. This was one of the biggest storylines coming into camp when spring training started just about a month ago, more than a month ago now. How was Zack? When's he going to be ready to pitch? When's he going to go off a mound? When's he going to throw live batting practice? And he's checking all these things off. And it's positive, and everything's positive. And really, I thought there was a chance a month ago we might not see him to mid-May. Who knows? They don't want to rush him. But like we just said, I think April is more realistic now. And it's just awesome. It's going to be great to have him back. And knock on wood, the recovery, he can continue to check these things off these next couple of weeks and get back into the rotation sooner rather than later.
I truthfully cannot believe how fast he's progressing.
Yeah.
Like, I can't believe it. Like you said, I was even talking to some people down here. Like, I truthfully thought maybe end of May, beginning of June was a realistic goal for Zack Wheeler to return to the mound for the Philadelphia Phillies. And I think it is. I think there's a chance we see him in mid-April, because I do think he'll probably throw in some minor league games either down here or wherever before he takes the mound. But he is scheduled to throw another live batting practice tomorrow on Tuesday. Right. So we'll be here for that. There's a day game, obviously, so I don't know what time or where. I'm assuming it's going to be on the backfields because they'll have to take BP before the game starts on Tuesday. But we'll be there, ready to watch, and hopefully get Zack's comments again, see how he's feeling. But it's just, I cannot believe how fast this is, even just to see him on the mound again. It's remarkable, to have this surgery and come back and throw to these guys immediately, and it's still March, and he's, in steps that I didn't think he was going to take till at least April, and then we wouldn't see him till the end of May. So he's looked good. He said he felt great. There really hasn't been any other setbacks for him in general. So, and I think, that goes credit. I know we do it all the time, but that really gives credit and shows the credit that this Phillies training staff deserves. Paul Buchheit and company have really taken care of Zack and trying to get him back to where the Zack Wheeler that we're ready to see. And I'm excited to see, him back on the mound. I do ask Jim kind of what his expectations are. We'll get to that, and I know we probably hit on it too, but what are your expectations for Zack when he does return? Is it going to be maybe the Zack Wheeler that we've seen in the past, or, maybe just a smaller version of that?
Well, just from, logistical standpoint, like you just said, maybe a minor league game before he comes back with the Phillies. He's obviously, with them breaking camp a week from today, he's not going to pitch any Grapefruit League games. So obviously they're going to be super cautious with him, given that he's not going to really see any big league game action prior to making that first start with the Phillies, whenever that is. For argument's sake, it's about a month from now, maybe a little later, 5 weeks or so. But so they'll be cautious, and I could absolutely see the first couple of starts, them having a pitch count, and then that pitch count will get a little higher to where they can fully be comfortable stretching him out. But regardless of how many innings he's going to throw, how many pitches he's going to throw, I expect him to be really good. Like, I don't know if he's going to be Cy Young Zack Wheeler right out of the get-go. I'd be surprised. I'm sure there'll be a little bit of a drop-off at least to start, but even a little bit of a drop-off of Zack Wheeler. If we were seeing 90% of Zack Wheeler, that's one of the best pitchers in the National League. So I'd be very surprised if he's not ready to go and giving them 4 or 5 innings in his first start, and then maybe that pitch count gets a little closer to 75, 80, and then away we go to full strength as we get into May. So no, it's great. I really do. I expect him to be really good, all-star caliber. And if not at the top of his game, very close to it, which the Phillies will obviously take.
It's crazy too, because Jim Salisbury on the live Q&A yesterday said, he expects him to be Cy Young caliber.
Wow.
And if Zack Wheeler is even close to the Cy Young voting at the end of the season, I think it's one of the most remarkable stories in all baseball history. Truthfully, like, to come back from this, we've seen guys come back from TOS and not be themselves, but also kind of get back to that level. But if Zack can get to a Cy Young level, as he's going to turn 36 here in May, that's ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Yeah. And it'll give them 3 guys just like they had last year in the top 10-ish of that voting with Sanchez, Wheeler, Luzardo. Nola has a bounce-back year. We're all hoping for the best with Painter. So it's obviously not hard to get excited about the starting rotation when you're thinking Zack Wheeler potentially getting back to being that Cy Young caliber guy, because, frankly, they already have 2 of those guys in the rotation without Zack.
And it's crazy. So we'll get to the World Baseball Classic because that has been exhilarating over the last few days. So we'll get to that towards the end. But speaking of the rotation, we'll talk about it now. So it sounds like I went to Tampa on Saturday, watched them play the Yankees. Good win. It was hilarious. I was actually in the clubhouse after they won. Felix Reyes, who'd actually hit a home run on Monday as well. And I asked Topper about him. He's really impressed with the young kid, Felix Reyes, who just won a batting title last season in AA. But it was funny. So he hit a home run in the top of the ninth, to give the Phillies a 4-3 lead. And it was funny. I'm talking to Justin Crawford, Brandon Marsh, who made the trip to Tampa to play the Yankees. And Amuno Sosa comes in too. After the game's over, Justin Crawford starts playing this song. It was just like a normal rap song. Yeah. They were going nuts. And they're like, dude, we win. Let's go. And it was hilarious. Yeah. I was cracking up. Amuno was just dancing. I was like, oh, the vibes are great. Marsh starts dancing too. Yeah. I joined in with the dancing a little bit, hanging out. So it was good, man. It was good vibes. But afterwards, we talked to Rob Thompson and, kind of off camera a little bit, but you were trying to pick his brain about what this could lead up to with Aaron Nola now pitching the semifinal on Monday for Team Italy against Venezuela in the World Baseball Classic semifinal. It sounds like, Sean Kane, that it's going to be Aaron Nola in the second game of the season.
Okay. That makes sense. That's the way it's lining up.
I think it's going to be Christopher Sanchez on Thursday, Aaron Nola on Saturday, and then Jesus Luzardo on Sunday.
Yep. That makes sense because Luzardo's pitching St. Patrick's Day tomorrow, Tuesday, on the 17th. So, okay, yeah, that would all make sense to line him up for that. I guess he would throw one more time and then be ready to roll on that third game of the season, which would be Sunday the 29th off the top of my head, I believe. So that makes sense.
That sounds right. Yeah, March 26th, opening day.
So Sanchez, Nola, Luzardo in that order against the Rangers.
And then do you go Painter, Walker, or do you go Walker, Painter? Who knows, right?
Yeah, it depends on, I guess, a couple of different factors, how they're lined up to throw. But, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if they go Walker then Painter because they'll both be at home. That they have the first 6 games at home, so everybody will get a chance to throw at home. That won't really influence anything. So my guess would be Walker, Painter, but we'll see. And I saw the Rangers announce their pitching plans as well, which I had just assumed all offseason that Jacob deGrom was going to start opening day, but they want to line him up to start their home opener. So I believe he's going to throw I believe it's the second game of the season against the Phillies. They're going to start Nathan Eovaldi in on opening day. So interesting tidbit there in terms of pitching plans.
That is very interesting. I didn't see that. So Nathan Eovaldi, Christopher Sanchez, game 1 of 162 on Thursday, March 26th, just 10 days away. Dude, I can't believe that. I was talking to some of the guys down here and I talked to Justin Crawford afterwards. We actually just posted the video on NBC Sports Philadelphia.com. Go check it out. But I asked him, I was like, are you ready to go? Because when I talked to you on February 22nd, which was the very first, or February 21st, which is the very first spring training game in Dunedin, I asked him, hey, you're going to see a lot of at-bats, and that's what you want. He wanted to see a lot of at-bats to kind of get used to some big league pitching. And, he faced Max Fried on Saturday, and the confidence that he had an RBI base hit, which get used to that, Phillies fans. That's going to be a lot. And, he said that what that does for his confidence, it's just sky high for him. Yeah. But he said, he's like, I'm ready to get back. Cause I was like, are you working on anything? Is this still, at that time, 12 days before opening day? Are you still trying to adjust anything? He's like, nope, I'm ready to go. To go. And I was like, fire me up, baby. Let's go. Yeah. Let's go. So it's all good stuff there.
We're all excited, man. I'm excited to watch him play in big league games. I think he's more than held his own in the spring. The numbers are what the numbers are, but he just generally to me looks like he belongs defensively, looks like he belongs offensively. Looking forward to it. We talked a ton about him. We talked to him, and I think he's ready to play that role at the bottom of the order for him, play a good defensive center field, and kind of set the table a little bit from that 9 spot, assuming that's where he bats, get on in front of the top of the order, and a guy that can do a lot of things well offensively, and I think it's going to be exciting to watch.
Can't wait. And speaking of that, just Crawford seeing, guys like Max Fried and some of these other high caliber starting pitchers. On the opposite side, on Friday, Andrew Painter faces the Orioles and faces Pete Alonso. And we asked him about that. What does that do for your confidence when you can face a guy like Pete Alonso? Obviously his first year with the Baltimore Orioles, and hilarious. Every at bat when they introduced him before the game, A lot of booze from the Phillies fans here.
Yeah.
A lot of booze and like loud booze, dude. It was, it made me laugh. It made me laugh. So just because he switched logos, the hatred still stays for Pete Alonso from Phillies fans. But, and Painter said too, right? He said the same thing. And we asked Garrett Stubbs, who caught Painter's game on Friday too. You know, you get soft contact and little ground balls. If you keep the ball out of the air with Pete Alonso, that should, you know, kind of reach your confidence to its highest level. And Painter said the same thing, feeling good. You know, he said, so people were kind of concerned because the velo dropped heavy in the third inning. Like he looked dominant in the first 2 innings, and then the third inning rolls around and the velo drops. And he said really that he just got too aimy, in quotes. Like he was trying to aim. Yeah, I know, dude. It was funny because I'm making that video, and you know, we do the closed captioning on the tall screen. I'm like, how do I spell that? And then like I looked it up. It's not a word. So I just put A-I-M-Y.
I would put, since he's referencing his aim, I would go A-I-M-Y.
Yep, that's what I did. That's what I did, and you know, made me think of Amy Fadul as well.
There you go.
But yeah, so he said he just got a little Amy with it. So, and I think that's really just adjustment. And you know, I saw people freaking out on social media about it, and I talked to Andy for a while, and he's fine. He's just still working on certain things. I don't think there needs to be concern about the dip in the velo.
Okay. Well, that's good to hear, because obviously I wasn't down there and I just saw the box score, and I read about the dip in the velo and all things that on the surface concern you a little bit. And we've talked a ton about him and how his first couple of starts he was getting outs, but the location wasn't great. The velocity certainly wasn't great. So again, I just think it's going to be a work in progress. And I think there's going to be a lot of adrenaline that comes with pitching in some big league games and making his MLB debut, whenever that is, like we just talked about, whether it's the 4th or 5th game of the season. So keeping the faith with Andrew. And good to hear, though, that he at least had a little bit of a reasoning of why the velo dipped and why he ran into some trouble later in that start.
Yeah, and I'd rather that now than, you know, the first start of the season.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if you're that's what spring training is for. You're working on things, and he knows that this is a huge season for him. Oh, yeah. So I think he's going to do whatever it takes to make the most out of this 2026 rookie season for Andrew Painter. And I think just working on it now down here is fine. I think it's fine. And I think we talked about this too, but once that motivation and once that, you know, atmosphere at Citizens Bank Park and you take the rubber for the first time and everyone is ready for that after 4 long years of waiting, I think people are going to be ready. I think, and that velo is going to be 98, 99 because the juices are going to be flowing.
Yeah, I hope so. And, you know, it's going to be a lot of overanalyzing and overreacting to every start, especially early 100%. In the season. And, you know, he has had these bumps in the road, both in the minors last year and the spring this year hasn't been perfect. So, you know, we hope this isn't the case. But if he has a rough start in that second series of the season and then it carries over to the next, and I think all of a sudden some legitimate concern and some legitimate angst starts to build a little bit. But it's huge for him to get off to a good start. Get off to a good start in that first start in your home ballpark, kind of set the tone, show you belong, and go from there. But it's going to be worth watching regardless. It's a huge storyline, and frankly, they need him to step up. They do.
And to wrap up Andy real quick, and that's the thing.
We going Andy now?
So that's so that's what I was going to say. Like I might stick with Andrew. He likes Andy.
Okay. All right. No, good to know.
I don't know. Well, and so I talked to him off camera because I heard, so him and Alec Bowman in the clubhouse, a lot of college basketball chatter. He's a huge college basketball guy. So I heard them talking about it, and he's a big Florida Gator guy.
Okay.
Obviously committed there to play baseball before being drafted by the Phillies. So obviously that didn't work out, but grew up a huge Gator fan, is a huge Florida basketball fan and football fan. And if you're listening and you know, I'm a big Florida football fan.
Right.
So I went up to him and just was like, hey man, like, what are your thoughts? I heard you talking about, you know, Chinulu, who was their center, who's amazing, and Tommy Houck and all these guys on the Florida basketball team. Dude, I felt so bad for the PR because they were just standing there waiting for me. I kid you not. I was just cussed again. I kid you not. We talked for about 45 minutes about Florida football and Florida basketball. It was awesome. It was great. He's like locked in. He's talking about, you know, the like offensive ambassadors that Florida brought in for the football team. I'm like, I didn't even know. I don't know who these people are. Talks about how he goes to Gainesville a lot. He was at the Texas game this season, the same game that I was at when I missed game 1 of the NLDS. Sure. But he goes down there in the offseason too and works out for them. So huge Florida football and basketball fan. I thought that was pretty cool.
Huge Gator guy. Good to know. Huge Gator guy. Andy Painter. Okay. Andy and or Andrew. Maybe I'll just go Drew. I'll like a third
switch
option
it up.
there. Drew
Switch
Painter.
it up.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll ask him about that tomorrow. I'll be like, dude,
right.
can we go Drew to switch it up?
There you go.
See how you feel.
Is Bomer is he a big Wichita guy? Bomer?
He is. They were talking about them. He was talking about Wichita State for a while, which was funny. But then they were locked into the conference tournaments and all that stuff going on this week. So I thought it was hilarious. So they were like talking about stuff that, analysts would be talking about. I'm like, fellas,
that's pretty cool.
In. Yeah, man, let's talk a little college basketball. And if you listen to the pod, me and Sean Kane are big college basketball guys. But this is the Phillies Talk podcast. We'll stick to the Phillies. And speaking of, we will toss to Jim Salisbury. It's great to have him back. He's very humble about that. I was like, you want me to introduce you? Like, hey, man, welcome back kind of thing. He's like, no. Yeah. Just play it smooth. We're going to keep it moving. So
not a flashy guy, Jim. Yeah, not a flashy guy. Doesn't want to bring attention to himself, which is always funny.
Never. He never does, because he deserves all the attention for all the hard work he puts in. But I sat down with Jim Salisbury today. Here's some of his thoughts of what he's seen from down here in Phillies Spring Training at Baycare Ballpark. Welcome back to Phillies Talk, presented by Team Toyota. Look who it is. My guy, my carpool buddy, as you just mentioned, Jim Salisbury joins the Phillies Talk podcast. Dude, it is so good to see you. So good to have you on.
Good to be with you.
We've had a few fun days down here already.
Yeah.
Let's just dive right into it.
Okay.
Give me something that you have seen so far down here that can get Phillies fans maybe optimistic with less than 2 weeks to go before opening day.
Well, I think the Phillies fans should, in general, be optimistic. It's a team that won 96 games last year. Yes, the majority of the team is back, but there's a lot of good personnel on this team, so I think that's something to be excited about. But you want a couple things in particular. Zack Wheeler is walking around with a smile on his face. His body language is outstanding. And most importantly, his work on the mound has been impressive. He seems to be ahead of schedule, and I use that word seems because they're reluctant to put a hard timetable on it. I think they have some ideas in the back of their head, but they kind of want to read and react to where he is health-wise in this comeback from surgery. And just, by all indications, he's at least right on target or maybe even a little ahead of schedule. Most important thing, feeling good. His bullpen sessions have been excellent. He threw to hitters on Saturday here and exited that 20-pitch workout feeling good. He'll do another one here in the coming days. And I think there's a chance he maybe gets in a minor league game next door around the time that camp breaks, and we see him in the big league rotation. I wouldn't rush him because it's cold weather, but, I would think late April, which is, plenty of season remaining, and all indications are that he will return healthy, and that is the most important thing because he's one of the best pitchers in baseball, and you need him to go where you want to go. You need him to be Zack Wheeler, and it just looks like he's going to come back and be Zack Wheeler again. So that is something to really feel optimistic about. And the way to what I would call like almost veterans, young veterans, Bryson Stott and Alec Bohm, young veterans, the way they have swung the bat to me has been very encouraging as well.
And sticking with Wheeler real quick, I think Phillies fans in general are a little worried that we might not see the Zack Wheeler that we have seen in years past. What gives you that confidence that maybe he can get back to that level?
Well, we're not going to know until we actually see him pitch in a big league game. And, I don't think you can draw a conclusion in necessarily his first, second, or third start. I think you're going to have to measure it over time. What gives me confidence he can be that guy again? Well, one, he thinks he can be. Phillies medical staff thinks he can be. Phillies baseball people think he can be. Their pitching coaches think he can be. And he's feeling good and feeling healthy. And like I said, he's got that smile on his face. And sometimes, if he's not feeling well, you're not going to be that upbeat. He just looks completely upbeat to me, like feels like he's in a good place physically. Other pitchers have come back from this and fared quite well, and I feel like he can be one of those guys that comes back from this looking like his old self. Now, mind you, he's going to turn 36 in May. He's got high mileage, but I still think he can be one of the top pitchers in baseball once he comes back and gets his feet under him, just because he just looks so good here. And I think we'd probably see, if things weren't going well, I think we'd probably see some red flags at this point of spring training, this point of his build-up, his comeback, whatever you want to call it. And we've seen no red flags.
And I think I'm glad you brought that up because I've brought it up on the last few Phillies talks. Just seeing him smile, it's something I haven't even seen down in spring training from Zack that I've seen basically since he's been a Philly. So
yeah, because he's all business.
Exactly, all business all the time. But I've seen him messing around with the guys. He's looked very confident. He's looked like he's having a great time, and I think that can only lead to good things for Zack Wheeler in 2026. Right before we started talking about Zack, though, you mentioned some younger veterans. Good way to put it. But I know for you and for me personally, Alec Boehm and Bryson Stott have really, I wouldn't say turned a corner, but have looked especially good so far in spring.
Yeah, no doubt. In Stott's case, he may have turned a corner the final 2 months of last season. I mean, he was struggling. He batted leadoff for a while. They took him out of there. He wasn't producing. But then, mid-season, maybe a little after mid-season, working with the hitting coach Kevin Long, made an adjustment in his swing. Took his hands down a little bit, took some of the loop out of his swing, became more direct to the ball with those hands down, more of a line drive approach. And he had 2 really outstanding months to finish the season. So the question becomes, well, can he carry it over into 26? Well, so far in spring training, it looks like he's carrying it over. So very, very positive sign because he's a better hitter than he's shown. He's not a 230 hitter. He shouldn't be a 230 hitter. Really, he shouldn't be a platoon player for the skills he has. But that's what he was, kind of reduced to last year because he just didn't produce. So he doesn't want to be a platoon player. He wants to play every day, and it's up to him to kind of prove that he can do that because Edmundo Sosa is a very good stick, a good right-handed stick. Stott being a left-handed stick, it's kind of natural to have that platoon. So if he wants to shake free of that platoon, he needs to continue to produce as he has here in spring training. And I just think, to me, it looks a lot like a different hitter. The line drive approach, some of those fly balls to the warning track in left field have been eliminated, and I'm interested to see what he looks like here in the regular season. Things do change in the regular season. This is essentially glorified practice, but you'd much rather have good results than poor results. And similar with Alec Boehm. This was a guy who drove in 97 runs 2 years in a row. Last year took a step back. A lot of people scratched their heads. Well, he had a rib issue last year. He had a rib injury. He had a shoulder injury.
And that really affected him.
Of course it did. It's your upper body. You're torquing, you're swinging, and if your swing is this much off, or if you're not getting as much, into the swing physically, if it's not as strong as it can be, just because you're hurting a little bit, you're just not going to produce. These pitches are too good. So he's in a great place. He's healthy. He's got a good mindset. He knows he's been kind of this human trade rumor the last 2 years, and it don't bother him. He's ready to go out there and produce, whether it be in the 4-hole, the 5-hole, the 6-hole, doesn't matter. He's trying to kind of like jump that pitch middle in when he gets it, and when it may be borderline mistake, trying to get the bat head out a little bit more so maybe he can elevate to the pull side. But he's not looking to sacrifice that line drive approach that he's had since the beginning, and what has made him the hitter he can be when he's right on top of his game, because he doesn't want to have 150 strikeouts. So if he can add just a touch more power on pitches that are that are good to drive, pitches that he should be driving. If he can drive those and yank them over the wall, that's a good thing, but he's still, middle away. He'll look to spray that ball and be the hitter he has always been. Big year for him. I think it's the most important year of his baseball life. He's going to be a free agent. Put up big numbers this year. You can be a very, very wealthy man and give this front office a lot to think about in terms of, do you bring him back? Because Aiden Miller, the guy that we all think is going to, succeed him at third base, hasn't played this spring because of a bad back. So, big year for Alec Boehm, and it seems like he's in a good physical and mental place to kind of capitalize on that big year.
And we've seen him show that power so far in spring. He obviously had 3 home runs in the last 2 games earlier in the week. And I know you mentioned the 4, 5, and 6 hole for him. Where do you think this lineup will produce? And even I feel like it's been a topic of discussion for the last several seasons of, hey, what's this lineup going to look like? What's, in your opinion, what does the lineup look like on opening day?
I think it's going to be – it's a good question. I think they're going to go back to – and it could change, right? Mm-hmm. I think it lines up maybe Trey Turner leading off again. They had good success there. I think that move was good for him last year because he became a more selective hitter. He sacrificed some pop for some more on base, a little more selectivity. I think going to that leadoff hole forces you to have a more selective approach. Where we might see some change, I think Bryce Harper could go. Could go.
Catch, baby.
Almost dropped my notebook. Bryce Harper could go in the number 2 hole. With Schwarber in behind him, that might help unlock Bryce Harper and get him the protection that's been talked about a lot. But Bryce can solve a lot of his own issues by not expanding his strike zone, not chasing. If it's off the plate, don't swing at it. Walk to first base. Let the next guy take care of it. And that would, help. Essentially, he'd be protecting himself. And, I think if Schwarber's third, you might see Bohm out of the gate fourth. Again, he's not that ideal power hitter you want in the fourth spot. But what you really don't want is that pitcher saying, well, I don't need to pitch to Kyle Schwarber because I can strike out that next guy. Mm-hmm. If you got a lot of swing and miss and strikeouts in that number 4 hole, at least Alec Boehm's going to bring you contact and a pretty lower strikeout rate. Who can hit, he can knock doubles around a lot. This is a guy that had, upper 40s doubles a few years ago. So I think maybe out of the gate he would be there. And if Adolis Garcia can, again, he's a guy who chases a lot, swings at pitches off the plate. If he can reel it in and show some thump from the right side like he did in 23 for Texas, maybe he migrates to the cleanup spot at some point. They don't necessarily have a perfect cleanup hitter, but a lineup is, it's 1 through 9. It's 1 through 9. And I think, you could see a guy like JT Realmuto hitting toward the bottom. You're going to have an exciting young player in Justin Crawford hitting at the bottom. I think there's some good lineup balance, but for a lineup to work, all the pieces have to kind of click. So I can't just put it all on Bryce Harper. I can't just put it all on Alec Boehm. Yeah, I can't put it all on Trey Turner. They all got to click. And, you'd like to see, contact. Obviously, power is king, but contact is right there. Getting on base, so when those power numbers come, you got multiple guys crossing home plate. So that's kind of the way I see the lineup shaking out at this point.
And obviously, you then start Stott and Marsh then too towards the bottom of the lineup. Maybe go try to switch to lefties and righties because then you have 3 lefties in Crawford, Stott, Marsh. Yeah. And then you have JT thrown in there as well. So
and you'll have some Sosa in there because
for sure.
With Stott would love to play 162. Nobody wants to be a platoon player. Mm-hmm. The thing with Sosa is he's such a good player when you use him right that you got to get him his at bats, and that's kind of a natural position to get him there because Stott's a left-handed hitter, Sosa's a right-handed hitter. Stick him in at second base against a tough lefty, and it just kind of it keeps Sosa fresh. Off the bench for the next night and the next night while helping you win that night's ball game. So
it's same with Otto Kemp and Brandon Marsh maybe too, right?
Oh yeah, I think that's a definite possibility. They're really intrigued by Otto Kemp's bat. He has not had a good spring training, but I think they have enough minor league track record on him, and the reports are good. They liked what he saw when he came back from AAA last year, some of the adjustments that he made. They like the fact that he can knock one over the wall now and then. He has struck out a lot here in camp. You don't want to really see that, but I also think that they're intrigued to see what he could do. I feel like he's going to make the team, and I could be wrong. The final week of camp, a lot can happen. But I think they would like to see him make the team and see what that platoon in left field at least looks like to start the season. And then, that's the opportunity the player has been given. Now it's up to the player to, maximize and cash in on that opportunity so he gets further opportunities. So we'll see what happens there.
You're listening to the Phillies Talk podcast, joined by Jim Salisbury, my carpool buddy. We'll get into that story in a second because 2020 was 6 years ago with our good buddy Ricky Bowe driving down here all the way through, making tons of stops. It was a great time. It was a great time. Missed you, buddy. We're also, if you're watching on YouTube, we are tucked away underneath, actually, the home dugout here. Batting cages directly behind us at Baycare Ballpark in Spring Training, Clearwater, Florida. Speaking of left field, I think really the big topic now with 10 days left until spring training breaks as they head back to Philadelphia is the final bench spot. And on Sunday's game against the Braves, 1-0 loss, but Garrett Stubbs got an opportunity and left field. Didn't have any balls, hit to him. But I think that whole thing is very interesting.
Oh, yeah.
He's been shagging balls in left field. What do you think is going to happen with this final bench spot? Is it going to be Dylan Moore? Is it going to be Garrett Stubbs possibly?
Well, I don't know who it's going to be, but I get the feeling from talking to Rob Thompson that they would like that final bench job to be a versatile player, a player who can play a number of different positions. Dylan Moore is that guy. He's been a Gold Glove utility man in the past with Seattle. And just the fact that, Stubbs is a catcher. But in Houston a few years ago, played a little bit of outfield, played some outfield here on Sunday. He can actually play a little bit of third base. I think he might have played it in the WBC.
He did.
Yeah, so he has some versatility. So I just get the vibe that they're taking a peek at that versatility. They're evaluating that versatility to see if he could be the final bench guy. Because if they try to send him to AAA, there's a chance that they could lose him on waivers. I don't know that it would definitely happen. If they try to get Marchand to AAA, there's a chance they could lose him on waivers. So they would like to maintain their assets, and Stubbs and Marchand are both assets. If Stubbs can do the job and provide versatility off that bench, he might be that final guy. But I think Dylan Moore, he's a big league veteran. I get the feeling they signed him with the idea that he was going to be on their team just because he has about 7 different gloves and can play 7 different positions, and that could be really valuable. So we'll see how it shakes out here. But, if you look at a 4-man bench, it's going to be a backup catcher. It's going to be Sosa and Kemp, although Kemp's going to I think he's going to get platoon time. But and again, he has options, so I think he needs to turn around a little bit here in the final week. Like I said, he struggled some. But, you'd have a backup catcher, Sosa, let's say Kemp, and I feel like maybe Dylan Moore, but I also Brian Dela Cruz is in the mix, pretty good bat, had a really good winter ball, is having a good spring, but, he's a guy on a minor league contract who can be sent to AAA. And maybe it's Stubbs versus Dylan Moore for that final spot. And nobody when you do this job, nobody ever comes out and tells you,
right?
Okay, here's going to be the guy, right?
Right.
But they offer hints, and when the manager says, "I want as much versatility as possible on that last spot," it makes you think maybe Dylan Moore.
I agree. I think it is going to be Dylan Moore. It's going to be interesting to see what Garrett Stubbs ends up doing. Obviously, like you mentioned, if he does get sent down to AAA, I think there is a strong chance that they lose him. I think
maybe he's here. Who knows?
Right. Exactly. Speaking of then, too, last question, bullpen-wise, really there's one, in my opinion, one right-handed spot left. They selected Zach McCambly in the Rule 5 draft, so if they don't put him on the roster, they'll have to send him back to Chicago.
Miami.
Excuse me.
Yeah, Miami.
Yeah, Miami.
Yep.
Who do you think that? Because in my opinion, I think it's Backus, Banks, Alvarado from the left side.
Agree.
Duran, Kirkring, Bolin from the right side, and then there's 2 spots left.
Yeah.
And who are we missing?
So the bullpen I got, if I'm allowed to look down, from the 9th inning down, Duran, Alvarado, Keller, Banks, Bolin, Backus, Kirkring. Now, Kirkring's coming back from a little hamstring, but they think he's got enough time to get ready, but he's still going to have to pitch well. So let's assume he's on it. I think Backus is there. Want to see what he can do. He's had a really nice spring. He's
very
funky, he's sidearm. I think it could, be nice to have a little different look down there. I feel like he's pitched well enough here, opened enough eyes that he should be there, though he has options. But I feel like he's going to be there. So I'm kind of in agreement with you, like one job out there. Zach Pop could be the guy on a big league deal, does not have an option, much like Stubbs or Marchand. They'd have to get him through to send him to AAA. Who knows? He might get plucked. McCambley, Rule 5 guy. He either makes the team or gets offered back to Miami. Chase Shugart is interesting. He's on the 40. I believe he has an option. And let me just look who else here I have. Those are,
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure, that's Pop McCambley, Shugart.
Seth Johnson's in camp.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's just kind of one job remaining. And, it might be Pop, it might be McCambley, it might be Shugart. Who am I missing here? I think we got them all.
I think that's pretty much everybody. Yeah. I think that's pretty much everybody. So it's really, and that's the thing, there hasn't been too many position battles. This is the first spring training in a while. There hasn't been kind of a selective, battle in camp besides that final bullpen spot and that final bench spot. You got anything else?
No, it's great to be in your company.
I'm great to be in your company, buddy. Welcome back. So glad to have you back. Give me what's your favorite story down here, real quick?
My favorite story?
Do you have a favorite story from spring training, covering it for only a few years?
I have a lot of favorite stories. I saw Hulk Hogan one night at dinner.
Did you give him an impression?
Years ago. My favorite story, actually, one of them is driving down here with you and Ricky Bo. You mentioned that.
Yeah, it was awesome.
So we drove down. We took 2 or 3 days. We ate a lot of junk food on the way down.
Found out a lot about each other.
Ricky drove really fast. Found out a lot about you. And Ricky drove really fast in the high-speed lane and scared me. And I probably didn't do the smartest thing by punching him in the arm at 90 miles an hour with all my might. But we had a lot of fun.
It was so much fun. I can't believe it was 6 years ago. Can't believe it. But it was a good time. If you ever missed that, it's still on our website. Go check it out.
We made some stops along the way. We stopped at the site of the old Atlanta Fulton County Stadium where Ricky made his major league debut.
Yep.
Also stopped in Spartanburg where he pitched in the minors. And we recreated some old memories and told some fun stories. The one thing I was bummed we didn't get to do is I wanted to stop in Cairo, Georgia, which is the birthplace of Jackie Robinson.
Really
but
cool.
We were running so behind schedule, and it was
even with him speeding.
Even with, and it was a little bit too far off. So maybe one of these days we'll get to Cairo, Georgia.
Sounds good to me. Maybe next year. We'll convince. Maybe get Wawa back on board. We'll see what happens. But Jim, thanks for joining the Phillies Talk podcast.
So escape the cold and come catch the Phillies in Clearwater with NBC Sports Philadelphia and Phillies Sports Trips. We're teaming up to bring fans the most unforgettable Phillies spring training experience yet. The trip includes Phillies game tickets, beachfront accommodations, round-trip travel, all-inclusive tailgates, and much more. Plus, appearances from Larry Boa, Charlie Manuel, and of course, NBC Sports Philadelphia's own Ben Davis. Book your trip today at phillysportstrips.com.
Welcome back to Phillies Talk, presented by Team Toyota. Sean Kane back in Philadelphia. Spencer McKercher down here in Clearwater, Florida. One last day, Sean Kane. It's one of those things where you get so excited when you're down here, and then the week kind of blows by. Yeah. And then it's a day like today where I'm like, I'm ready to go home. I'm ready to head home, see everybody. Yeah. I kind of miss everyone. But then when you're on the way to the airport, you're like, I don't want to go home. This is beautiful down here. And it's so much fun down here. And just seeing everybody, it's very laid back. It's the best. And again, if you haven't been down here, please make it a priority to get down here because it is, it's a great time. It's a lot of fun down here. And the access is great if you're a fan. Which, speaking of, I actually meant to mention that when we were talking about Zack, the crowd here, just to see him, there was no game going on, and there was a lot of people sitting in left field, including Zack's wife Nikki and their 3 kids, which was really cool. And Zack was very fired up to see them as he was walking up, so I thought that was a cool moment. But
that's awesome.
Every swing and miss, dude, like roars from the crowd, like standing up, clapping, standing ovations. It was really cool.
So, it's really cool just to be able to, like you said, just walk over there. And even on non-game days, you guys throwing live batting practice, taking live batting practice, watching some defensive drills. It is cool. And I was down there for 4 or 5 days earlier. You've been down there now, I guess, between your 2 stays, you're working on like almost 3 weeks. Like you've been down there for like 10 days and a week or so. So it's some solid time you've been banking down there, man. I'm sure you're looking forward to getting home. But I hear you. Obviously, you don't want to leave the place down there just between the weather and just how how enjoyable it is covering spring training. It's fun, but the team's not far behind you. They're going to be coming up on next Monday, so it's not like you're missing out on much more.
That's true. I can't, like we said, can't believe that's already here. And even some of the guys were saying, like I was talking to Sosa the other day, and he's like, I can't believe, and he even said, just being at the World Baseball Classic, representing Team Panama, and then getting back here, and it's just like, all right, we're done, ready for opening day, time to get home.
Yeah.
So
you think about
the weather.
Schwarber and Harper and Keller, like whenever they wrap, they're obviously in the championship game, so they're not going to get back till that's tomorrow night. They get back whenever they get back, Wednesday or Thursday, and then 3 or 4 days they're heading up to Philadelphia. So it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out and how those guys are obviously sharp now playing in high level games, but the regular season is going to be on them real quick in about a week from when the World Baseball Classic wraps up.
So we can transition to the World Baseball Classic, and I'll start with this. I could maybe pull some strings, get down there, Miami tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Be in the clubhouse for, a celebration, because I'm used to that. Been there a few times.
You're the celebration guy.
Would be sweet. It's going to be a pennant clinching celebration, I assume.
I imagine there's going to be like a big celebration on the field. And I'd imagine in the clubhouse they have some drinks set up for whether that's the United States or whether they play Italy or Venezuela. But those guys, they're into it and they put a lot of time into it. So I think you're going to see a big celebration.
Hilarious. I hope so. I think we'll see some bottles popped, and which that's what made me think. Like, Kyle and Brad. I know Bryce not necessarily a drinker, but some of those guys like feeling a little sluggish maybe on Wednesday, Thursday when they get back here.
Yeah. It's you and your guy Stubbs. You guys should hitch a ride south to Miami. Take that party up a few notches if they were to win tomorrow night.
That would be awesome. That'd be great.
Bring some crossword puzzles for Brad. He can go nuts in the clubhouse.
I hope he's doing his crossword puzzle. I hope he's doing them. He definitely is. Yeah, definitely is.
I hope it'll be interesting to see, regardless of who they play. It's going to be, obviously they lost to Italy once, and Venezuela just beat Japan, so it's going to be a tough opponent for them. But what a game on Sunday night against Dominican Republic. That was something.
I was just about to say, how awesome was that game, man? And here's the thing. I know Paul Skeens is on the mound for Team USA, but I didn't expect 2-1.
No.
I didn't expect the 2-1 final. I expected maybe like 8-5, even with Paul. On the mound, but man, he was lights out. Bobby Witt continues to play fantastic defense. Gunnar Henderson hits the home run. Bryce actually comes through a few times as well. Yeah. And you saw the emotion from Bryce when Bobby makes that double play in the 5th, one out, runners on first and second, and Bobby makes an incredible play where he, kind of going to his right, tags the base, throws to Bryce. Bryce gets a good fist pump. But with all the kind of, I guess you can call it distractions, there's a lot of talk about, this team not caring as much, the Dominican team and even the Japan team and the Venezuelan team, and even Team Italy, with their espresso celebrations and hugs and kisses from them. But regardless, and obviously Mark DeRosa's comments and decision-making and all that, but regardless, Team USA still went out and showed that they are the best team in the world.
Yeah, and I think they care. Like, I just think that maybe manifests itself a little differently from the carefree. You just mentioned the Italians with the espresso and the Dominican Republics. Like, they're constantly the joy and the celebration and the smiles those teams have, the Latin American teams have. And the Americans just seem a little more intense. They just seem a little more intense. The makeup of the guys on the team, they probably have a little pressure on them. Like, they know they're expected to win this thing. And they came out and they got it done. And I was, Skeens, his line was good, but he gave up some loud contact. There were some balls hit really hard. Judge made a really nice throw to bail him out of one inning. And then he left a little earlier, I think, than they had hoped, just because his pitch count got up a little bit. And I was just super impressed with the United States bullpen. Like, they asked the bullpen to get, I think, 12 or 14 outs total when Skeens left mid-inning. And they answered the bell, man. They held that Dominican Republic lineup, which is just incredible, to no runs. The relieving core, and just to get that done and to finish it out, obviously with Mason Miller in the 9th inning, got a little dicey, and the umpire did give him help on a couple of calls, but it was really an impressive pitching performance by not just Paul Skeens, but more so, in my opinion, by that bullpen, and a lot of guys contributing to get the job done.
Tyler Rogers, Griffin Jacks, David Bednar, Garrett Whitlock, and Mason Miller go 5 innings, only allowed 2 hits out of those 5 innings, no earned runs, obviously. And how many strikeouts? We got 6 strikeouts from them. 2 from Bednar, 2 from Whitlock, and 2 from Mason Miller.
Yep.
Was it a strike?
I think it was low. I think the box showed it was low, and I think if there was an ABS, they would have challenged it and they would have won. And that obviously completely changes the nature of that bottom of the 9th inning. But it was close, and you can't kill the umpire for calling that a strike, and that's why they're putting the system in. Like, it's a close pitch. The umpire thought it was a strike. It wasn't. Game would have went on. It is a shame. Like, objectively, we're all rooting for Team USA, but objectively, a game like that shouldn't end on a missed ball strike call, which was unfortunate. And frankly, they got another one during the Soto at bat. They got another ball that was down that was called a strike. So, but Mason Miller, give him credit. He dug in. The defense, you said, made some really nice plays. The offense did just enough. And then Roman Anthony and Gunnar Henderson, some of the young guys coming through, which was great. So, they got to win one more, and then they can all exhale and celebrate. And we did what we were supposed to do. And you mentioned this, too. Like, the whole thing last week with Mark DeRosa, who I'm a big fan of, just like, did he misspeak? Then he tried to clarify. Did they know what was going on? Did they know the scenarios? Were they celebrating too much, after they thought they got in when they still had to beat Italy? It was a mess. Like, it was kind of embarrassing. And they lucked out that Italy came through and helped them out and got them through to the quarters, and they kind of have that second life. And so far, they made the best of it. But they can salvage this by winning the whole thing. And then I think the whole DeRosa scenarios, that's all kind of a footnote. The bottom line is they won the thing, and I think they all get the credit for that.
Is he going to be the 2029 World Baseball Classic manager for Team USA?
I think if they lose tomorrow night, no. If they win it, I think so. I think there's a chance if he wants it that he, can come back and, hey, we won the thing, and we could have won the thing the previous time if Shohei doesn't strike out Mike Trout. Like, on the field, other than the Italy game, which, again, maybe he thought that they didn't really need to win, it's generally been good. So I think if they win it, he has an opportunity maybe to coach him again at 29. His name's been bandied about a lot about being a big league manager. And I think that's why in part he's doing this, to get that managerial experience. Now, I don't know if this whole thing hurts his chances managing in the big leagues or not, but he's got a lot of contacts. He knows a lot of people. Regardless of what happened, I do think he knows his stuff. And if they win it, I think he has a chance to manage in the future, whether it be WBC again, or maybe he actually manages in the big leagues.
And I've seen comments too that you have all these great managers across Major League Baseball, and they go with Mark DeRosa. But I think the guys respect him. I think he has that kind of players first mentality, similar to Rob Thompson with the Phillies, where it's just he cares about those guys and he cares about giving them, kind of like listening to them and telling them what they want and listening to that. It is interesting, man. I don't know if he dug himself too big of a hole after all this debacle, but I think if you win the whole thing, I think it's hard not to run it back in 3 years from now. And go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. There's just no way you can have a current big league manager managing this team, in my opinion. Like, these guys don't want to leave their teams for a month in March and late February. And not only that, there's a lot that goes into it recruiting wise during year round. So, like, it's not like you can say, hey, Rob Thompson, hey, Pat Murphy, hey, Craig Counsell, come manage the WBC team, and then just go back to your team a week before the season. Like, these guys want to be with their clubs. Critical part of spring training. They have decisions to make. They got to get their teams ready. So that's why you kind of need, that's why Albert Pujols is managing the Dominican Republic. You need somebody like DeRosa, who's not actually a manager. So if you go away from him, I don't know where you go. But anyhow, I think that's just worth pointing out for people that say, well, they'll just get Pat Murphy or Craig Counsell or Dave Roberts. No, you can't. These guys have actual teams to manage.
That's exactly my thought. I wanted to respond so bad on social media about that, being like, guys, you can't, these guys don't want to leave their teams. It's, the season starts also in a few weeks. Like, you can't do that. Yeah. And because I thought it was interesting too. I saw like a little thing tossed out there that maybe in 2029, maybe you throw it during All-Star break. You kind of take 2 weeks, you have the All-Star game and immediately go right into the World Baseball Classic, take 2 weeks off, do that in the middle of the season. And then maybe you have a chance you can have some big league managers and obviously all that, but we'll see. And we'll see what happens.
You avoid the Scooble nonsense too of guys, are they playing? Are they not playing? I want to play, but I don't, that way you just do it mid-season. Everybody's stretched out. Everybody's ready to go and everybody can pitch.
Bingo. So as we transition to the other semifinal, which is today, obviously, if you're listening to this, you might already know what happens, but regardless, the big news, Phillies related, is Aaron Nola is now pitching for Team Italy on Monday here in the semifinal against Team Venezuela. They went initially with Michael Lorenzen, and it was funny. We asked Topper too, like, would you, if you were the manager of Team Italy, would you go to Aaron Nola in the semis or in the finals? And he, without hesitation, said Nola in the semis, just to get you there, because you got to get to the final and give yourself a shot. And Aaron Nola is that guy, and he will be that guy for Team Italy. Obviously looked good, and the game against Mexico really kind of saved the United States butts there. But I don't want to say expectations because, again, this could get dated, but maybe what are your expectations for Aaron Nola before this semifinal game against Team Venezuela?
Yeah, I mean, at the risk of looking silly if people are watching this day from now, like I'd be surprised if he doesn't pitch well. Like I don't know if he's going to throw 6 shutout innings, but it would surprise me if Venezuela, who also has a great lineup, a lot big leaguers up and down their lineup, if they rope Aaron Nola, that would be surprising to me considering the circumstances and how well he looked in his first start and generally how well he's looked all spring. So again, to put myself out there, when he gives up 7 earned runs in 3 innings on Monday night, then everybody can have a good laugh. But no, I think he's going to pitch well. And I don't know if that automatically assumes that Venezuela or Italy wins the game. But I agree. Like if he's ready to go on normal rest, which he is, pitch him tonight, get to the championship game. If he's your best guy, then you have Michael Lorenzen, who pitched pretty well against the United States previous week. Lined up to start against the United States again, but should be a fun. It would have been cool though watching Nola pitch in the championship game against Harper and against Schwarber. But it's a good move by Italy, I think, going to Nola if he's ready to go. And I'm sure the Phillies were consulted, like given their choice, would they rather have him on regular rest, give him a little extra rest? I'm sure they're consulted on how many pitches he's going to be throwing tonight, as they should be, because they're going to need him coming back, and they are paying him a lot of money, and it's been a great experience for him. But the Phillies are his employers, and I'm sure they'll be interested watching him for a number of reasons tonight.
I can guarantee that the Phillies were consulted. I can guarantee that. Just because it does depend. We were saying if he is kind of slotted to start that second game of the season, which I guess the way you look at it, tomorrow's the 17th. You have 5 days rest in between, 10 days total until Friday, the 27th, which they're off. So you can do the math. Basically assume that the 28th then would be Aaron Nola's day. So. Yeah, we'll see. I have high expectations for him, and it's cool because when they were playing Team Mexico the other night on Wednesday night, I believe, we talked to Garrett Stubbs and everyone in the clubhouse on Thursday morning, and they were all tuned in. And even Jesus Luzardo was saying that he's had some late nights over the last few nights because he's been staying up watching these games and staying very invested. And obviously, he's going to be very invested. The Team Venezuela, but. It is cool. Like these guys are very locked in. Garrett said he was like standing up and like yelling at the TV when Nola was pitching. So it would be really cool to have him face Schwarber and Harp and the guys in Team USA. But regardless, it's still pretty cool that Aaron Nola, who, we've kind of like jokingly, or I guess we've joked about him pitching for Team Italy basically off season. We even asked him how important it is to him to pitch for Team Italy. He's never been there. And now to be in this spot where he has a chance to put his team and his country into the finals of the World Baseball Classic. It's pretty cool.
Really cool. And honestly, too, you mentioned Luzardo. I think if this were any other offseason where he wasn't working out a contract extension, a 9-figure contract extension, and that was uncertainty wasn't there, and then he just signed, I think he probably would have pitched for Venezuela, and maybe there's a good chance that he's pitching tonight against Aaron Nola, which that would have really been something. And I'm sure Jesus will want to pitch the next time around. But yeah, it should be fun. And again, I think Aaron Nola is going to step up and pitch pretty well.
How cool would that be, man? We got Luzardo and Nola go against each other. That'd be so cool. I know he's pitching tomorrow. I might have to ask him tomorrow after the game if his thoughts about that, because that'd be really cool.
Yeah, to me, like reading between the lines, that seemed like the biggest reason I know he was consulted. He was in touch with Venezuela. He wanted to do it, but there was negotiations going on, and the Phillies had just given him the extension. Now does he go run and try to pitch in one game, which I think would have been a little weird. So, yeah, but I reading between the lines, I feel like that was probably the biggest reason he's not pitching for him this year.
All right, final prediction, because we won't talk until probably next week when we get ready for the season. But is Team USA, whether they're playing Venezuela or Italy, are they getting the job done?
Yes, they do. They will. I think Dominican Republic, Japan obviously would have been a big problem, but they were bounced. Dominican Republic, to me, was their biggest remaining hurdle. Now, Italy has beaten them. Venezuela, we've talked about. That's a talented team, too. But no, I think the United States finishes the job. And Mark DeRosa, last laugh. He's being carried off the field into that clubhouse where you may or may not be waiting for him with stuff and your camera rolling.
That'd be awesome. That'd be so cool. I'm with you. I think they do get the job done. And it could just be me not really in tune, because obviously the days are super busy down here. But I think Team Venezuela beating Team Japan is a way bigger deal than it was made out. Do you feel the same way? Has there been kind of like this surprise, Venezuela, like you said, Venezuela's lineup is still stacked. You have Acuna and company, but to me, that was like one of the biggest upsets in World Baseball Classic history.
Yeah, it was big. And Japan was up early in that game. Ranger gave up some runs early. Japan's up like 5-2, and you think, oh, that's it. And then Venezuela just shut Japan down for the rest of that game. They didn't score at all. And yeah, it was a big deal. Certainly surprised me. And I think it was a good thing that, again, the United States doesn't have to worry about Japan and Ohtani and what he's going to do. Is he going to go, what's he going to do? Is he going to come out and pitch in innings or pitch a couple innings or whatever else? So, I think it was a big deal, and it was a good result for the U.S. And whoever they play in the championship game, it's going to be tough. It's not going to be easy, clearly, but I think they should have the advantage.
And I saw for Team Italy there was already conversations of Francisco Cervelli getting the manager for Team Italy, getting a statue built for him for how he's taken this team and how much fun they've been having. And I'll probably be obviously I'll be cheering for Nola tonight, but I've kind of had a soft spot for Team Italy all World Baseball Classic, so I'll be cheering for them tonight and seeing if they get the job done to book a trip to the World Baseball Classic Finals with Team USA awaiting.
Yes, sir.
Got anything else? Phillies lose 13-6 today. They were down 7-0. Our good buddy Chuck King allowed 7 earned runs in the first inning. Not great, but a cool story for
10
Chuck.
earned overall, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Not his
Took
best
one for the team. I think they needed some innings from Chuck, and he wore it for him, which is
bingo.
Nice. Yeah.
Well, it's cool. So if you don't know Chuck King's story, so he played at TCU, and then after baseball, he didn't get. I think he might have got drafted. Sorry, that's bad podcasting, but I think he might have got drafted, but didn't make the team. The team, and ended up being a biologist. Like literally went a completely different path. And even, was writing thesis and all this stuff. And then he started working out 2 years ago, and the Phillies signed him, and he's been within the organization since. So a dual occupation guy, I guess, if you want to say, but two like the most polar opposite things. So pretty cool for Chuck King, despite him letting up a lot of runs today. But and as we wrap up, Jim mentioned that Otto Kemp hasn't had the best spring. I said the opposite the other day when we were on the Phillies Talk podcast. I thought he's had a pretty good spring. The numbers go to show that he hasn't had the best spring, but he hits a home run today as well, his third of the spring. And I don't know, man. We can debate about this bench spot all next week because I'm sure we'll know at that point. But I still think Otto Kemp is a lock to be on this bench.
I do too. Yeah, I do too. And despite a less than stellar spring, you mentioned another home run on Monday. But even if the numbers aren't what the Phillies had hoped, or maybe he hasn't hit the ball quite as hard, I think they owe it to him to give it a shot. They talked him up all off season. They want him to get some regular at bats. They want him to be healthy to show what he could do at the big league level. So yeah, I think he's on the roster, and I think the home run today clearly helps that. But yeah, I think he's on the roster. I think he gets a shot in that platoon with Marsh a little bit. Maybe they move him around a little bit depending on how other things shake out. But yeah, to me, he's on the roster. Period.
Yeah, correct. I'm with you on that. And we'll obviously the big debate pretty much all this week and next will be who gets that final spot. We've had the discussion many times. Jim mentioned that he thinks Dylan Moore will get the spot. I'm in full agreement with him. We'll see what they do with Garrett Stubbs and Rafael Marchand. Really, that's the other big thing with Stubbs playing left field on Sunday against the Braves. It was cool to see him out there. And so we were setting up for the live Q&A. We're right out in left field there above the bullpens, or right next to the Frenchie's Tiki Hut. And Garrett comes running out, when his first appearance out there, and the crowd went nuts, and he acknowledged it. It was really cool. It was nice. Cool.
Yeah. So, more versatile, the better. I know he's got some experience in college playing out there. It's tough with the backup catcher because last year you had the out where Stubbs had some options. You could send him down to the minors, still have him, but now you could lose either one of those guys, whoever you don't keep. Part of me, I still think it's going to be Marchand. Like I still think he gets that job, and Dylan Moore, I'm in agreement with Jim and you. That's what I've said, just because I think his versatility kind of wins the day in that race. So that's to me how it's going to shake out. But never hurts to give it a shot with Stubbs, and we'll see if he does. If he is the odd man out, does somebody else pick him up? We'll see. It'd stink to lose him. He is popular. He's not just popular in the clubhouse. He's popular with the fans, and he brings a lot to the table in terms of intangibles. But if it were me making the decision, I think I would give Marchand the nod.
I think that's what they'll end up doing. And, I've had the debate with a few friends and a few people down here. Yeah, I truthfully think if Garrett Stubbs ends up getting DFA'd, obviously if you send him down, he has a clear waivers. I think someone's going to pick him up because I think someone's going to realize, how important he is to a clubhouse, and even just being able to work with JT Realmuto over the last few seasons and having the knowledge that JT has, I think someone will pick up Garrett Stubbs, which would be a shame because he's my guy, man. I love that guy. So
he is. Yeah, I hear you.
We'll see what happens. Decisions to make for Rob Thompson here in the next week, which is just, again, I keep saying it, but it's nuts that we're already talking about a week away from camp breaking and getting ready for opening day.
And if you lose your guy Stubbsy, now you got Andy Painter. You guys are buds. He's South Florida.
That's so true.
I mean, you got a new guy.
I did say, I was like, look, you let me know what game you're going to, depending where this team goes. Could, October could be tough. But I was like, you let me know what game you go to, and I'll join you down there. You got to come to the tailgate. My sister throws a great tailgate down there in Gainesville.
Nice.
Andy will be out there with us. I think, my guy.
Hopefully Andy is pitching in the DS and the CS and the World Series. Maybe we can get him down there early November.
Exactly. Maybe at the Florida State game. Why not? End of the season, Thanksgiving Day weekend. Yeah, let's get nuts. You got anything else?
No, I've reached my limit of Florida football chatter. I'll wait for the season to start before I start hammering the Gators at your direction. So all good, man. Safe travels home.
Thank you, buddy.
Great work down there as always. In all seriousness, you've been down there for a while. Long days, but seriously, great stuff across the board. You, Jim, Cole, and everybody. And looking forward to seeing you back in town, man. The season is it's here.
It's here, and so is March Madness. Can't wait to see you on Thursday. We'll be watching the games all day.
Those will be
Can't
fun.
wait.
Yeah,
cannot wait, buddy. So, we'll land the plane. Thanks for listening to the Phillies Talk podcast presented by Team Toyota. For Sean Kane back in Philly, Spencer McKercher down here in Clearwater, Florida. We'll talk to you guys next week.